Hi, this is Sista ToFunky from the Museum of UnCut Funk. I'm here with DJ Skeme Richards and Lance from Hot Peas And Butta. And we're here today to talk about your collection and to talk about your music and what you guys are doing. And I appreciate you taking time out to do this interview for us. So let's start with your collection. Tell us how you got into collecting. Why are you collecting this type of artifacts, and what does it mean to you?
Well, basically, I've been a collector since birth. I've never thrown anything away, and growing up in the 70s, the connection was, this is what I saw on a regular basis, the music that I heard on a regular basis, so it just had an impact within inside of me, to the point where it's like, I need this around me forever. Mm-hmm. And this is basically what keeps me young, you know, remembering the good times before I had to pay bills, and when it was just about riding your bike and, you know, stuff like that. So for me, collecting the stuff is just a part of me to keep me young.
What was the first thing that you started to collect?
That would have to probably be Star Wars figures. Okay. Star Wars or G.I. Joe figures.
And how did you get into the movie posters?
Well, I'm a crazy movie fanatic. Crazy. From the blaxploitation flicks to kung fu flicks to spaghetti westerns. And once again, it was that feeling of going to the movie theaters and seeing the lobby cards hung up, seeing the posters hung up, and it was like, I need that. I need that. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember when I started collecting the movie posters, I found myself going to the theaters and begging the managers to let me have that movie poster. They would always tell me to come back after the movie was finished screening. And the first one that I got doing that was Spike Lee's, what was it, Crooklyn? Mm-hmm. And ever since then it was like, okay, I understand. The artwork on the posters was just breathtaking. And, you know, that was the reason why I kind of got into it. Mm-hmm. But tell me, what is your most favorite movie poster from the 1970s?
Oh, wow. Favorite poster?
I know there's so many.
Wow, there's so many. For me, it genre hop. For blaxploitation flicks, it would have to be, Superfly would have to be like one of my favorites. You know, that would definitely, between that and Bamboo Gods and Iron Man.
Yeah, I like that. That's my favorite.
You know, that would have to be my favorite. But when I go to the kung fu flick genre, it would have to be, there you go, Deadly Mantis. So it would have to be Deadly Mantis. Just because of the artwork. Yeah. You know, it's because of the artwork. But then you know, I dip into the spaghetti westerns, which would have to be like the Clint Eastwoods from the 60s.
Posters are the offset printing, and it's such a lost art form. And back in the day when they were doing these posters, the actors actually had to sit and pose, and you know, you had an artist come in and they would do the actual drawing and painting of this poster. And I think it's just the artwork is so breathtaking. And it's such a lost art form, and no one really appreciates that anymore.
It's a lost art, just like printing comic books on newspaper and not glossy paper. And Lance does all of the artwork for Hot Peas And Butta, and anybody can Photoshop.
Yeah.
It's, for me, it's always been about the posters, but it's like going into it with the first thing that I always did. I've done tons of research. It's like, you know, you dig for posters and you learn that it's about telling the story, right? Earliest memories probably were James Bond posters. You know, the way that they were collaged together, they told the entire movie in one image, right? And they were hand painted posters. It's like, and that right there is, I was like, okay, I can do that for this. It's like, and in a way, I like reappropriating a lot of that imagery when you chop it up and you create a new story for now. And the thing is, it's like, you know, doing that, you kind of convey, you know, the feeling of what it was back then now.
You know, because when I was on your site and I was going through some of your blogs from the past, and I was looking at your artwork on the posters that you did, I was like, wow. You know, it was just unbelievable how someone could understand what I'm feeling about these posters, artwork on them, and, you know, taking them and then incorporating other figures into the posters to promote what it is that you do. So I'm so happy to meet you guys.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
This is just, your collection is really unbelievable.
Thank you.
And, you know, it really just warms my heart to know that there's somebody else out there who can appreciate collecting. Because some days I think I'm crazy.
No. And you know what? The thing about it, it's ageless.
It is.
Because I'm 41.
27.
So it's a mentality
Yeah.
that goes along with it. You know, like you don't have to be 40 to have an appreciation for it.
We came in, we noticed that you had some animation upstairs. Tell us about your passion for animation.
Greatest cartoon company, live action company, Filmation. One of the greatest cartoons of all time, Super Stretch Michael. Classic. A black couple, afros, matching sweaters. You know, it's like that. It's the best company. Like I love Hanna-Barbera, I love all those other companies, but Filmation was the most realistic, and it had Fat Albert. You know, might be the greatest black cartoon / top 5 all-time cartoons.
So how long have you all been doing, you know, Hot Peas and Butter and throwing your parties?
4 years now.
4 years for Hot Peas. I've been DJing since '81. Hot Peas is 4 years, and it's been a good ride. it's been a good ride because we've done. It started in Philly with myself and DJ Cash Money. We started doing it in New York after that, and we've done Seattle, San Fran, LA, Japan, Switzerland, Germany, Netherlands.
Let's see, even in the States still, it's like you've got
Pittsburgh,
Minneapolis. We've kind of bounced all over Austin. We did South by Southwest last year. Looking to do it again this year. And then our goal always is some new year, new cities. So we've already got Vegas in the lineup, Atlanta in the lineup, Austin again, and then keep going.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience. And we always pay homage and tribute to, once again, that 70s period.
Into this at 27, what is your connection and your background, or your upbringing that gives you an appreciation?
Well, growing up in a black household, it's like there's always your tons of uncles and aunts, so immediately you're gonna get stories. So growing up, and my family, they're from Brooklyn and Queens, so growing up there were things that were kind of just stories that were passed down to me. So even the name Hot Peas and Butta, it's like I knew about it before there was before the party even came about, because my parents told me about the game growing up. So it's like we played it as kids. And then on top of that, it's like, your uncles, they put you into films and movies, and things like playing chess. It's like, these are all things that kind of just passed down to me. But I really got into the music. Well, I was into jazz first. My grandmother was a jazz singer for American Sweethearts of Rhythm. And from there, it's like, that came, and then I got into dance, like my early teens. And that right there was really when I got thrown into funk music, really heavy. And I started going to more b-boy events and things like that, and then that's how I kind of came in with Skeme. And he was playing music that I was like, I've never heard some of these rare groups before. And so I just started to follow him, hands down. He was in Texas, I'm in Texas. He's in Miami, I'm in Miami. He's in San Francisco, I was flying. So eventually he's like, who's this dude that's kind of following me and flying all these places? And then we kind of linked up and got down. And then I started to get more into the culture behind the music. You know, if you really love the music, you're gonna want to know everything about it and where everything came from. So I had already known a lot about the film and like their connection to film, but then I really got into, you know, even deeper than that. You know, the more soundtracks and more posters and then even, like I said, him introducing me to a lot of the rare footage of, you know, stuff that was on TV before I was born. So it's like me being thrown into that, it's like I kind of embraced it all immediately. Like, you will have this group of people who are not dancing. They will sit there and stare at the screen or the projections the whole night and just be talking back and forth with each other like, yo, so dope. It's like, you know. They get really hype on it. It brings them back to, like I said, like he was saying, like a happier place. It's like, you know, when things weren't so complicated.
Yeah, definitely.
What's some of the rare, you know, nuggets that you pull out of your crates or out of your basement or wherever you get them from that, you know, I guess would set you apart? In addition to all the other things that you guys do that set you apart from everybody else.
Wow. I don't, you know, there's so much. I can't even. Musically, man, what?
There's a lot.
I've forgotten more than I have ever known. Like, there's so much. Now, with me, it's not even about the rarity in the music. The rarity in the music for me is for other DJs. Because it's like, oh, wow, you have that, I don't have that. Oh, that's a $2,000 record. Where did you get that? Like, but now it's more with me just rocking the crowd and people just feeling it. Because honestly, the average party goer doesn't know if it's rare or not rare. So I kind of slow down on focusing on the rare, except for personally and other DJs. But for the party, it's more just, I just need people to dance. Because people don't dance anymore.
Yeah.
People drink, they socialize, but nobody's dancing. And our thing was, if we're going to do this party, people are going to dance.
They got to dance.
I don't care what background you come from. It's soul music, and everyone has a soul. So when we do the James Brown party, everybody's dancing. And I mean,
we're talking, this party starts at 10 o'clock, right? Average party, when it starts at 10, people aren't really dancing till like 11:30. It's like people got drinks in them, and then now they're finally starting to get that groove on. By 10:30, this dance floor was packed. It was packed all white people too.
yeah, which is,
it was crazy. It was packed all white people, and everybody is just grooving.
because everybody loves James.
No matter what.
Everybody loves James. And see, that's the thing I noticed when we do Hot Peas, the demographic of white versus black is so, and Asian, like it's sad that our people aren't embracing the music as much as they should be embracing. This is your music, but they're not embracing it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm dropping James Brown Sex Machine, and the floor is going mad.
So where does Hot Peas and Butta go from here?
Up.
Well, we've branched out because it just can't survive as a party.
Exactly.
We've branched out to doing a few gallery exhibits.
So yeah, the art now has legs. So we noticed that maybe about 2 years ago that people were everyone wanted the flyers and posters, right? They wanted posters. They were just taking the posters, like when we actually had them printed, people stealing them off the wall. And like, you know, so I was like, okay. So I started to produce the pieces, large format, no copy, just the actual images. And we actually showed at Comic-Con this past year, and we had a great reception and people loved it. So now we showed in the Netherlands, and people again were feeling it. So we're gonna try to do it again this year, expanding. But even with that, like I said, our appreciation for things 70s goes beyond just, like I said, black cinema or just soul music. right now we are working on a project with a band, Big Pen Jones, and they're a funk band, but the leader of that band has a huge affinity towards Godzilla and kaiju cinema from the 70s. So we started a new project with him where it's a lot of the sounds are funky, but they are derived from a lot of that Akira Ifukube soundtracks from some of the original Godzilla flicks. And with that said, we are also doing a comic book based around that. So it's a totally new direction for us. It's a project that I've been excited to work on. Just finished the art for the 45 and for the album cover, so now I'm like even more excited. And then like working with the illustrators as far as the comic book goes, and really kind of taking things in a new direction. But still having the kind of foundation of what it is that we started with, and just keeping it going.
Favorite shows? Of course, Good Times. Like I'm going to stay away from the cliche ones because everybody knows the cliche. Good Times, Jeffersons. I loved Mission Impossible. I loved Mod Squad. It was just so many shows that Dark Shadows. Oh man, and keep my with me, I still watch this every day. Like that's my TV viewing every day are those shows of the 60s and 70s. Even shows like Bewitched, which most people don't know. One of my favorite episodes of Bewitched was kind of a blaxploitation episode. You know about that one? See, most people don't know about because that was the unaired.
That is the queen of watching Bewitched.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. See, that was once again that was a rare one that people are like, really, and I'm like, yeah, But everything from like I said, Mod Squad, Mission Impossible, to I really had this crazy fascination with 60s British spy TV shows, like. Avengers, which I had, 50th anniversary, the Avengers, Department S. There was like The Saint. There was a whole slew of those shows, and even down from Space 1999 to all of the Jerry Anderson shows like Thunderbirds Are Go. Like I watched those shows every day, and when TV Land first came on, it was like, okay, they're back. But I've had a VCR since '83, so I was recording every show. So I've never really missed a beat with watching TV. And when by the time '87 rolled around and everyone had cable, I had 3 VCRs running, and this one's recording this movie, this one's recording this show, and this is recording this. So just all of those shows, the best. So for you. For you, it's my collection, I know.
Well, for a favorite 70s?
Yeah.
Well, me, I was a kid, so I was a kid in the 80s, so everything that I was watching was cartoons from the 70s.
Right.
So obviously, it was everything from Filmation, everything from Hanna-Barbera. Cartoons kind of was where it was at for me, and Thunderbirds and Go was my shit.
Yeah.
That was it. Because I was just thinking about that too. It's like. When TV Land first came out, it's like, you had it was a lot of stuff from 70s and whatnot that was airing. And then I was just watching something recently. I was like, it changes as, the decades progress. So what TV Land starts to air, it's like now it's like the only stuff they air is like stuff from 90s. Mm-hmm. It's like some things.
Weird.
Yeah, it's weird now. It's like, I'm like, oh, TV Land's not the same anymore.
It's not. That's why I pop in the VHS. And that's how we roll. People look at me like, you're still recording VHS? I have bulks of blank VHSs because that's I have DVR, but I have to transfer it to VHS. Because people don't realize that's the safest means of recording.
Yeah.
Because there's no life expectancy on a DVD because it breaks down, and VHS you can always remaster. So, but TV shows, there's so many shows, even like Love American Style, and you know, like as I think about, there's so many, and of course Soul Train.
Probably the only area we haven't talked about is your fascination with Kung Fu. Talk to me, what's going on with the Kung Fu?
That's across the board.
Well, Kung Fu, that's, when you think about the 70s, you think of double and triple features at the theaters. You think about dollar movies. You think about going in, paying your one fee, and sitting there all day. And as a kid, watching Kung Fu flicks in the theaters, I don't know what the fascination with black people and Kung Fu, but everybody wanted to be, Bruce Lee, or everyone wanted to duplicate what they saw in theaters. I mean, every blaxploitation flicks, you see somebody doing Kung Fu. Even prior with like the James Bond flicks, judo, every spy knew judo. Like, but the Kung Fu thing, it's just, that was my passion before the blaxploitation, because it was, as a kid, blaxploitation, I necessarily didn't understand, but Kung Fu flicks, it was like, oh, I understand, it's fighting. It's nunchucks, it's jumping high, it's kicking, I understand that. So, I used to go to see these flicks, double and triple features, and, and it would always be mixed with the blaxploitation or a Godzilla flick. And, so that was like, that's like my number one passion, because that's my foundation for theater, and that's what I really remember. And my poster collection, to my Bruce Lee figures, to having everything on VHS, to that's, for me, that's my foundation of film, and then of course Star Wars in '77 and everything else. But the Kung Fu flicks was like, that was golden. That was golden. And then when they stopped being in the theaters and they were coming on TV on Saturdays, it was like, I'm watching that. And then after I'm watching, we're all going outside and we're duplicating what we saw, inside. And that was the loveliness about being a kid. And that's why I keep all this stuff around me, because for me, like I say, I'm never growing up. I'm gonna do adult things like pay bills and go to work, but I'm never growing up. And when and if I have kids, this can all be yours, So, but that's the Kung Fu thing. That's foundation for me for exploitation. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, Kung Fu is my earliest memory of pretty much cinema. Period. It's like, being at my grandmother's house and my uncle introducing me to like Bruce Lee. When you're 4 years old, it's like that leaves an impression, and from there it just grew into Shaw Brothers cinema, and it's like I remember my first Shaw Brothers VHS was Crippled Avengers, and then from there being a kid and you roll around Canal Street and you're trying to get everything that you could get your hands on, and a lot of it, it's like there's so much stuff that like I watched as a kid that we were watching it and it didn't have subtitles. It's like, or it wasn't dubbed, and we didn't care because we were like, we're watching this anyway. Mm-hmm. And you just become obsessed with it. And to me, that obsession just stayed with me for my entire life. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can't see that going anywhere. Right. It's like, that's something that's consistent. I still watch a martial arts flick every night before I go to sleep. Mm-hmm. That's going to be like that forever. So whoever I wind up with, they're going to have to deal with that.
And the thing about like the Kung Fu flicks too, like, you have to look at the connection with the Kung Fu flicks and black culture, because a lot of the Kung Fu flicks, there was oppression going on by the governments in, saying that, people of Shaolin couldn't practice martial arts, or, it was the same thing with black people in the 60s, where it was like, you're getting hosed right now, like, and once again, that's why I think that connection between black people, Kung Fu flicks, is so deep. It's the same with even Planet of the Apes, with Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, where the apes rebelled. Yep. Black people, like, we're not standing for it anymore. We're not having it. So it's that common connection, and which I think is really lacking in the world today. because I always say, you look at all these other countries and they uprise and they're like, you know, they look at the governments and they're like, we're not having it anymore, and they'll burn the whole country if they need to get their point across. In America, we don't have a movement going on anymore where people are like, we're standing together and we're making a statement. Now it's kind of like
with a goal.
With a goal.
Exactly.
With a goal.
With a goal.
Right.
That's the key right here.
Because no one's doing it. Like, you go to these other countries and they're just like, we're not having it, and you're corrupt. Our government's corrupt, so now we're coming to your house and we're burning your house down.
Yeah.
In America, it's not affecting me, so
Exactly.
I'm fine. And it should be right and wrong. It's not affecting me.
It's like, yeah, it's crazy. It's like, I have a few French friends, and we talk about, like, you know, a cop shoots someone here in the States. It's like, yeah, there's a hoopla for it for a little bit, and it's over. That happens in France, it's outlaw. It's madness, and then it's going down. Something's got to change, and that's just not the case.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I was just thinking, it's like, you know, I think one of the huge connections that black people are always going to have to Bruce Lee is in you know, Fist of Fury, with the Japanese occupancy of China at that time, and how they were suppressing those people. And I think, like, you know, one scene that everyone is always like hype about is when Bruce is about to go into the spot, and they're like, guys, like, what are you doing? And then he points to the side and says, no Chinese and no dogs. And Bruce kicks that shit and breaks it, and everybody's like, ah.
Right.
It's like,
which, once again, there's no connection. If you look at film today, there's no connection to reality. There's no connection to what's going on in the world.
Well, I am so glad you shared your story with us. It has been a pleasure, and you know, I hope that there is an opportunity for the Museum of UnCut Funk and Hot Peas and Butta to do something together. I would love to be in a position to do that. And this has just been an awesome experience. I want to thank you
for having
again.
us.